On Tuesday, the United States Justice Department pulled the wraps of one of the greatest education-related scandals in the history of the United States. A counseling firm based in Newport Beach, California, was found to be grooming wealthy parents, opening the doors for their privileged kids to join top schools around the country. Schools and colleges whose high standards of admission those kids could never have passed. The fraudulent counseling firm basically was a middleman, taking the parents' money and bribing off their kids' way to university. School coaches were bribed to admit rich people's kids into sports sponsorship slots, sports that those kids never excelled in. They didn't even play it in many cases. Examination proctors were bribed to turn their eyes away while their privileged kids conducted their examinations, or while even other people took their place and took the exams on their behalf. The FBI got a lead about this case almost a year ago during a Florida trial of a businessman indicted with some other fraud. During his testimony, the defendant, he slipped and mentioned that amongst his expenses, there were $74,000 that were paid to facilitate his son's admission into a top college. The FBI followed the leads and fell on the doors of the fraudulent counseling firm, the one that orchestrated the whole process, the whole fraud. And confronted by a boatload of evidence, the scumbag that ran the whole scam fully cooperated with the FBI and turned into an FBI flip. The FBI had him wired and let him continue with his business, interviewing, essentially convicting all those rich parents who had come to his doors, asking for the man's fraudulent services. Everything was recorded, the convicting conversations, and of course, the bribe money that exchanged hands. And on last Tuesday, the Justice Department brought the case to light, convicting along the way a bunch of parents, proctors, and sports coaches. Justice served, right? In my eyes, absolutely not. First of all, we need to know what kind of sentence is the Justice Department seeking for the proctors and the sport coaches and the parents, right? And what kind of sentence is it seeking for the fraudster who lured the whole bunch of those convicts? The devil who lured the parents to easy opportunity for their kids and the proctors and coaches to easy money. Don't get me wrong, I do not mean to defend the rich folks who think that their money can buy whatever privilege for themselves or their children. I am basically pointing the finger at the wrong way the system works. The way that produces more complexity and deviance than it probably should. Let's get something straight. Right from the start, the FBI flipped the worst in the bunch, the one with the most sin at his hands. In order to achieve what? To bring the lowest rank of criminals, the least criminal of all, the parents. It's supposed to go the other way around, right? Like flip the small fish to get the big fish. Or is the big fish here the ones with the bigger pockets, not the biggest crime? It's quite distasteful in the least, and undignified. The filthy rich parents are guilty, no doubt about that. But how guilty are they compared to the criminal who ran the scam? Does the Justice Department feel okay having run the operation this way? Aren't they getting the worst of the bunch off the hook? And for what? Compensating him to his cooperation? When the FBI and the Justice Department embarked on this judicial expedition, what options did they have in the beginning? Let's think about it. Let's speculate. Option A, they could catch the fraudster red-handed and give him the maximum possible sentence. But of course, that wouldn't have been newsworthy. just a small headline down the pages of the New York Times and the Washington Post. Or option B, give the fraudsters some slack, extend the operation, and collect some celebrity names in the process. And guess what? That will get you a good news slot commending the FBI and the Justice Department work. Well, you be the judge. Now, having admonished the government agencies for their skewed judgment, let's turn to the legacy of corruption and hypocrisy that runs through the American subculture and is behind the whole of it. Like the elephant in the room. In this case, it couldn't be any more clear. The society believes in reining in the corrupt, the fraudsters, even if they are rich. Well, except if they are super rich. Then we might have some custom-tailored laws and traditions for them. Sure, it's unethical to pay to enroll your incompetent kid into college. But if you are super rich, the universities will make some laws to help your kid roll in. Like, pay donations and we'll get your son or daughter in. But don't be cheap. Like, unload $1 million or $2 million, 10 would be optimum. But if you have a legacy, or a tall, swanky kid, who's called maybe Jared Kushner, and he might be one day marrying into an incredibly affluent family, well, then 2.5 million would be manageable. Can you see the problem here? The society, by accepting the concept of bypassing laws of merit, has explicitly, not just implicitly, has condoned the ethics of buying your way to the top. If you don't have the merits but have the cash, doors will open for you. But what happens if you have the money, like you are rich, but not too much of it? You see your richer compatriots buying their way to the top, buying future and privilege to their children. However, you do not have that kind of money to splurge around. What do? You find another another way. Perhaps someone will say, but wait, that way involves bribery. It's illegal. You might very well say to yourself, well, why would paying millions to institutions be more legal than paying thousands to individuals? Isn't it the same premise, robbing someone with better grades and credentials from entering the same college, paying the same tuition fees? Isn't it the same? If someone would tell you but the first way is legal and the other is not, you might have the right to say, bullshit. You are absolutely right. But guess what? Still, you're going to jail and the super rich are not.